When I think back of the 10 years that I spent as the founding senior pastor of CCFC, I'm reminded of a very profound sense of joy and gratitude. As I've been in different places in different parts of the world and different parts of the country, I'm realizing that there are moments in our lives when God, in an amazing and gracious way, allow us to be part of a community that is unique and that is just entirely special. And that's the way I feel, and my wife and I, and our time, the 10 years that we spent at CCFC were entirely unique and entirely special.
Hello, brothers and sisters of CCFC. Grace and peace to you from Adonai, our Father, and the Lord Emmanuel. I miss the active urban church that you are and the fervor you have for his love. During college, I joined CCFC in 2002 to 2005. While the length of time is a lot shorter than most members of the community, much of my current core life values have come from Pastor Soong-Chung, Pastor Elizabeth, Pastor Gary, participating in the on-ramp program that Andrew and Jen Laird-Smith led, and being exposed to a life that members of the church chose to live in Boston. This video is being filmed from East Asia. As with most lives, there are different seasons of walking intimately with our Lord and seasons of dryness. Thankfully, sharing the good news, participating in activities such as teaching English to migrant children, selling jewelry made by survivors of captivity, and being involved in the community for the past 10 years is evidence of the impact CCFC's values have influenced my adventures with him since after leaving CCFC.
I love that CCFC was doing social justice long before social justice was cool. I went to a progressive high school and I was active in InterVarsity all the way through college. But I first heard the term social justice at CCFC from Pastor Soong-Chan way back in 1996. Today I'm a linguist. I live in Chad, Africa, and I'm serving minority language groups and helping them to develop their languages. And I see absolutely everything I do through the lens of social justice. That's thanks to CCFC.
And the second memory I have is of Pastor Soong-Chan. Shortly after he got married, he came back with his new bride, Sue, and wanted all of us to get to know her. So we all went to go watch the Titanic together. But unbeknownst to all of us, they had already seen it like 3 or 4 times. And we all watched it together at some movie theater in Somerville. And then on the ride home in their minivan, I still remember they were singing all the theme songs to Titanic to everyone in the car. So lots of great food, lots of fellowship, lots of great times with the community.
I remember, this person called Larry preaching, and he was wearing urban hip-hop clothes. And there was another person, Jason Young, who also seems to be wearing urban hip-hop clothes, which wasn't really what other people wore. But now I think they're actually the pastors of our church. And it's great. We really love them, and they really embody a lot of the things that we value for CCFC.
I started at CCFC when it was just 3 years old. I remember the 3rd anniversary. It was probably about the same time that some of you guys were turning 3 years old too. And I remember when Pastor Jason and Pastor Larry were just a couple of scrubs with crazy hair, and now they're just a couple of scrubs. But I was thinking about what makes CCFC special, and what made it special for me, and what I think still makes it special today. And there's 2 things. One is relationships. Incredible, deep, meaningful, challenging relationships that I will always be grateful for. And it's too many people to name, but especially Jason and Joanne and Elizabeth and Soong-Chan. We were a dream team, and I'm really humbled and honored to have worked with them and learned from each one of them. Beyond that, CCFC was a place and is a place where believers are coming together and are serious, really serious about putting their faith into tangible, real-world, world-changing action, like putting feet to their faith. And that was so huge for me to be a part of, and make CCFC an amazing place and a blessing in the city and in the world and to so many people's lives.
I actually was visiting the other week and heard Pastor Larry say how different churches do different things for fun, and how at CCFC we like to play board games. Whoa, crazy. It just made me think, oh, CCFC, we're so special. You guys are so special. But really, you guys are so special. CCFC is such a special church, and it's meant so much to me over the years that I've been there. Really have seen God move in powerful ways through the community, through how people have loved each other well and walked with each other through suffering and through a lot of joy too. And it's been a church that's taught me a lot about a God of justice, a God who cares about the poor and cares about our neighbors, and how we can be a vessel and a conduit of his love and his good work in this world. So thank you, CCFC.
That CCFC was the first place that I was ever a regular worship leader. That a friend of mine, dear friend of mine, bought me a guitar for my college graduation, and immediately, had to put it to use pretty soon in helping the small groups worship. And then when we started services in the September of '96 to lead worship there, and it was one of those fantastic places where you strum a chord and people were ready. They wanted to come into God's presence, and they really went for it. The way it says in the scriptures, where David danced before the Lord, and just undignified in the way that they worshipped. And that was a deep charism of the church. This what God would do in worship, and how ready people were, and how it was awesome to train new worship leaders at CCFC, because you could just go up there and worship the Lord, and because people would just follow into that and seek God's presence. Yeah, it was a pretty incredible time.
And in terms of other CCFC memories that I love, besides the gospel choir, I'd have to say hanging out at Victoria's Chinese restaurant, eating the greasiest stuff. I don't know if it's still there. Definitely Bernie and Jason's Hans and Franz impression was so funny. Dancing at people's weddings, rollerblading on the Esplanade at night, watching the 4th of July fireworks on the Esplanade or at Killian Court. Dressing up in crazy costumes for the Star Wars Episode 1 premiere. I still remember Jason Young's epic Jawa costume, complete with glowing eyes. So anyway, I just made some of my best friends at CCFC, people like Hannah Kim Seda, Karen Fulton, Elizabeth Pierre. I'll always be grateful for just amazing friendships in that season. And thank you, CCFC, for just allowing God to use you and to work in and through you all. I will always be grateful to God for all the ways in which I grew personally as a young adult in my 20s, and also in my spiritual walk. And just all the fun memories and amazing friendships that I'll always cherish throughout the years.
And so that's why, as I reflect on the moment that I was in CWOW in those years in the mid-2000s, I think the word that stands out to me is transition. It was a time when our founding pastor, Sung-chan, had just left to go take his professorial position. When Central Square, our neighborhood, was changing around us every day. When about 1 out of 4 of us was leaving every year, goodbye parties. And the other 3 out of 4 of us were talking about when we were going to leave Boston. So there was this tension between our desire to keep things the same and build deep community, and the transition and dynamism of people moving and things constantly changing. And at the same time, we were really young. I raised my son Isaiah was a toddler at the time. And his impression of what it meant to be a pastor at the time was that, you preach in shirts with smiling bombs on them, and you change the color of your spiky hair all the time. We're just very young. We're trying to figure out what it means to be church in a very transitional time. But I think there's really something beautiful about that season at CCFC, that there was a deep desire to live out the full gospel. So many churches are either it's me and Jesus and this kind of individualistic just spirituality, or this very politically active, strong justice agenda. But it's hard to find churches in which the whole gospel, the full gospel, came together. And I feel like that's what CCFC was, that we were a place where we were really young and idealistically trying to live out the full gospel, trying to have our life of justice flow out of our relationship with Jesus.
What I've seen is that CCFC, over its past history, has continuously come back to its roots of social justice, of serving the poor, of being incarnational, and being in the midst of the community it serves. And that's something that's not common. There have been many leaders throughout CCFC that have had different styles, different emphases, and maybe in some ways different values, but the values of the church have in fact always remained constant, and that's a work of God.
Another thing that I love about CCFC is its authenticity. And what I mean by that, it's embracing all of life and death and the complexities of it in between. This really showed up for me personally in a tragedy in my own life. 3 years ago, our family lost our eldest son after a premature birth. We were living in San Francisco at the time, and the community and brothers and sisters in CCFC really surrounded us physically, emotionally, spiritually, through prayer, and really supported us as we've been going through that grief journey. And what I appreciated was the authenticity to struggle through what love looks like in hard times as much as it does in the easy times. And that's when I know that the faith community there is true, and the faith community there is authentic and chooses to struggle with questions rather than giving the Sunday school easy answer that some of us, like myself, might have grown up with. And that's what I love. And I know that's not just the people that I knew at CCFC, that is part of the DNA to embrace what love looks like, the DNA to be loyal and to love deeply and to love in the dark times and the hard things as much as it is to sort of celebrate in all the great things.
I remember that there was this Sunday school teacher, and his name was Larry the cucumber, guys! No. Larry the cucumber and Bob the tomato! Save the world. Not Larry. Come on. And as I was saying, Pastor Larry, he taught us some Bible stories, I think, and that was really cool. Two things that I remember from CCFC a while ago. One was Uncle Russell and Auntie Megan making delicious pancakes with whipped cream, strawberries, and blueberries. Those were really good. Another one I remember was when me, Maya, and Sonia, and a bunch of other people around our age were singing a song to CCFC a couple of years ago. Bye! Boom!
And we hope that you guys have a blessed 20th anniversary, and we love you and miss you guys.
Thank you for defining some of my current lens of viewing the world and just how much Jesus loves the big C and me.
Here's to another 20 years of God's goodness and faithfulness to you all. Thank you so much for this opportunity to reflect back and to remember CCFC. So God bless you all.
Well, I love you guys so much. You're my family. You always will be. Happy birthday! Yay!
Happy anniversary, CCFC! Praise God for 20 years. It's really incredible.
Happy anniversary, CCFC!
You say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Vega.
Bye-bye. Vega.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Happy birthday, CCFC. You're no longer a teenager. You're full-on adult life and in your 20s. I'm looking forward to hearing more about what the Lord is going to do through you. But, many blessings.